This week on the Fickle Fan Podcast, we are going to talk about Fyter Fest. We'll also talk about the big shakeup at WWE with Paul Heyman, Eric Bischoff taking the reins for their shows respectively, and we'll talk a little bit about Seth Rollins' apology to Will Ospreay. This and much, much more coming up next.
Fickle! They cheer him 1 minute, they don't care the next. Fickle!
I was proven right about these fans being fickle.
Hey yo, it's JM and Yeeski. We watch wrestling weekly. I style it stone cold like Steve B. Believe me. I said believe me, keep it so breezy. We make another shows uneasy when we come around. When we step behind the mic, awesome reactions with the fans every night. Like the man when she graces the ring. JM Yeeski Fickle Fan Podcast. Nah, I mean
Fickle! 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 Fickle!
Welcome to the 14th edition of the Fickle Fan Podcast. Thank you for listening. You have Yeeski here.
JM in the building.
Yo, what up, though? It's your boy, Duke.
Welcome, guys. So this week, there's quite a bit we expected to go on in the form of Fyter Fest, the AEW pay-per-view that was broadcast for free on Bleacher Report Live. But then we also had some unexpected news with some people put in charge of Raw and SmackDowns. We'll get to that second. But first off, Duke, JM, what did you guys think of Fyter Fest? Did you guys get a chance to watch it? How'd you like it?
Well, I'll go first because mine is going to be short. No, I did not get to watch it yet. I am going to watch it probably tomorrow because I got the day off. I'm sure as most, if not everybody, unless you're working in a hospital or something, or a cop or something like that. But
or retail.
Oh yeah, or retail. Walmart, something like that. Yeah. So, but I'm gonna watch it tomorrow so I can kind of take it all in. I wanted to kind of concentrate on it to see the production and all that stuff because AEW and they got this show coming up, so I'm gonna kind of concentrate on that. But obviously, one thing I did see was the chair shot heard around the world, and that was kind of brutal. But I'll be watching it tomorrow, so I'll probably be tweeting late about my reaction to it. But I will let Duke take the floor.
Man. I didn't really pay attention to the production of Fyter Fest. For the most part, I just was watching the matches and skipping the little small segments if there was one in between the matches. I just watched the matches basically, and I gotta say every match on that card was great. I didn't get a chance to watch the pre-show, the buy-in, but what's my man's name? The Fallen Angel versus Japanese guy who started OEW. That match was pretty good. It was fun to watch. You had the triple threat female match between the two Joshi wrestlers from Stardom, I think they're from, and versus Aja Kong, and that match was fun.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you how that was.
Yeah, it was fun. I didn't have high expectations for it, but those girls could go. And I think they're setting up the one that we thought was going to be a typical babyface as a heel. So,
wow.
Yeah, I like that already. And then we had another. I'm hoping I'm not remembering this wrong, but it was another ladies match. No, it wasn't a ladies match. It was a fatal 4-way between Hangman Page, MJF, what's my man's name?
Jimmy Havoc.
And Jim Havoc, yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that match was really good. The two people who impressed me the most out that match, though, was Jungle Boy and Hangman Page. Well, you know what? I would say everybody in that match except for Jimmy Havoc, because I kind of knew what Jimmy Havoc was capable of. Everybody in that match impressed me because that was really my first time seeing them go like they went. Like Hangman Page, I watched the match with you in Ring of Honor, and I wasn't really impressed. But this match, he impressed me. Jungle Boy, that was my very first match I saw by him. And MJF, that was my very first match I saw of them. And I really like how MJF is a good grounded wrestler. I like how Jungle Boy is a Jungle Boy. And I like how Hangman Page is like a more athletic JBL, I would say.
good comparison. Yeah.
Like it was a crazy spot that Jungle Boy did where everybody was outside and they're picking each other up so they could catch Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy did like a moonsault, but the way he did his moonsault was that he put his knees on like the corner post and flipped with his knees somehow. And
what?
did like a 60 backflip. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. And I think like it was so well played that even the commentary didn't know if that was a botch or not. It was just like a lot of great spots in that match, and it just felt like a real fatal four-way. It felt like four people fighting. Like a lot of times with fatal four-ways, it's like two people either go outside the ring, get fight, and let the two guys go in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
But it just felt like a straight up like whoever is next to me is about to get punched,
Right.
And that was really exciting to see. And what match was after that? You had the now I'm debating
the tag team.
The tag team.
Oh, well, the Cody match was after that, but
exactly, yeah. The Cody versus Darby. That's his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
This Darby guy, I wasn't sold on him because he reminds me of every 2K19 created character from a 16-year-old. But I like Darby, man. He like you could tell that he gets into his role in that ring. And he could go, he could wrestle, he could flip, he can sell, and it just felt like a good straight up 90s match. Like, and the reason why I say 90s match is because like it has psychology in it,
mm-hmm.
and it wasn't all let's just go and do a bunch of big moves on each other. When they did big moves, they made it matter.
Well, you're gonna have that because Cody, I mean, considering who his dad is, plus he's skilled too, and his brother, they all got ring psychology, so they know what they're doing.
Right. And that's the thing that I'm really appreciating about Cody with AEW. It's like watching him post WWE. It was like I was questioning him if he has that potential to pull off a 4 or carry somebody to a 4 or
mm-hmm.
5 a match. Because he's not the most exciting person to watch. But when I look at him in the context of like the stories that he's telling, I'm really enjoying him more and more. And the story that he basically was telling was like, well, I got to give Darby props because he made Cody look like a giant in this match. Like Cody, he's a tall guy, but he's not that big and muscular like a Braun Strowman or a Cheese or something like that. He's just a muscular guy, and he made Cody look like he was bigger than John Cena. And that it was just a lot of things that I appreciated about the match, and the fighting. Like it basically came down to like Darby saying like, "You're good, but I'm just as good as you," and Cody was like, "Nah, man, like let me put that to an end. You're not about to be better than me." And Jay, I know you said you was going to watch it tomorrow, but can I give away the finish? Or?
Yeah, you good.
Okay. So the finish of the match basically was a draw because they had a 20-minute time limit. And I love that because it protects both wrestlers. Here it is, Darby fighting for his life, not giving in. And when Cody finally got him beat, the time runs out. And it wasn't no nonsense. It wasn't no shenanigans. It was just that Cody couldn't get the job done in the time limit needed. And that makes Darby look like a strong competitor, even though he's a young guy. He's 22. He's younger than me. And it just goes that they're just building Darby up well already.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
And then the fun part happens. Me and Jay was talking about it a little bit before we started recording. This man, what's his name? Tony Barker. I'm sorry, Sean Spears.
Sean Spears. Perfect 10, man. Sean Spears.
Yeah, Sean Spears comes out and tries to destroy Cody's cranial nexus. I don't know what I just said.
His cerebellum.
Yeah, his cerebellum.
His undula oblongata. Yeah.
Yeah. He tried to destroy the whole left lobe of his brain with the chair shot. At first, the chair shot didn't even look that bad. And I don't know if Cody was super selling. I didn't get a chance to look more into it. But when he started bleeding, when it started leaking out, I was like, oh man, I don't think that was expected. Because when they slowed it down, you see how the chair kind of wraps around and hit him behind his head. And I was watching the Mick Foley beat down that he got from The Rock, where The Rock hit him 11 times in the head with a chair. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of makes me appreciate WWE, how they took chair shots out. I mean, chair shots to the head out of wrestling, out of their wrestling. Not because it's not exciting to see, but because you're really hurting someone when you do that. Especially if the wrestler doesn't get his hands up. If it's supposed to be coming from the back, like what Sean Spears did, it doesn't look. It's not fun to watch.
No.
And I guess that's what we want as wrestling fans, for it to not be fun all the time. But at the same time, it's like we know what's going on a little bit more so in the ring than what we did in the 90s. And we care about these guys. We want these guys to wrestle as long as they want to, and not have it cut short because they put their bodies all on the line. But then again, I'm not a wrestler, but I am a Intercontinental Champion in 2K. That's what wrestlers want to do, is put it all on the line for us. But I just hope they can find a limit and they don't go crazy with the chair shots to the head. And if they do, I hope they protect each other.
Now, do you have a problem with them booking an unprotected chair shot in a match or in a post match?
No, not really. I just want them to be safe if they do it. Like, just put, like, if you go do a chair shot, do it. Have the timing right where the guy can put his hands up to protect his face. You know.
Yeah, because supposedly the chair was already rigged, but they still botched it up.
Oh man, so it was rigged in terms of like it wasn't supposed to be that bad.
No, because they said the back of the chair wasn't supposed to clip him, but it's that back piece that clipped him in the head that got him the 12 stitches.
Right. Did he get a concussion?
No concussion, just the stitches.
I can't see how he didn't get a concussion.
At least they're saying he didn't get one, so who knows? Maybe he did get one and they don't want more bad publicity. Who knows?
Yeah, that is pretty... I can see how that could be really bad for AEW, because right now they're the golden child, so if they're not protecting one of their number one guys, I might have to stick with WWE. I'm just saying.
I mean, they are getting blasted. I mean, they did get blasted for having that chair shot scripted in there anyway, regardless if they were trying to really protect him by rigging up the chair.
Wait, what's there to blast, though? Like, every chair shot is scripted.
Well, I mean, the fact that they actually put one in the script. Because, WWE's gotten rid of the chair shots. And in this day and era, you don't hit people with the chair shots, period. So, But I know because Tony Khan said, "Oh no, the chair was rigged, but it just it didn't happen the way we were supposed to.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't really look into it after watching Fighter Fest, but I'm gonna need Tony Khan not to give publicity.
He pulled back the curtain a little bit too much.
Yeah, like, go, if you want somebody to do your publicity for you, hire me. I'm tired of Vince McMahon. I said it.
Because I think people were even showing pictures of the chair that they used versus like a regular chair to show that it was already dented before he took a swing at him. I mean,
oh, wait, so is that the issue people are having a problem with, really? It's just that, like, how it was dented?
No. People are having a problem that they actually went ahead with that in the kind of a dangerous spot where you could easily cause someone a concussion if you mistime it. So that's what they got heat for. And then that's where they started, we rigged the chair up. It was already dented. This is not what's supposed to happen. He was not supposed to get cut at all.
Yeah,
so.
they have people have a problem with them actually booking a head chair shot. That's what the issue is.
Yeah. Okay. And that's coming from wrestlers, everybody.
Yeah, even if they rigged it.
Yeah. Just the image of that is not good. So,
guys, I'm sorry if you hear explosions going off. The world is celebrating the death of Abraham Lincoln and how he gave us independence.
Nah, I don't hear nothing.
All right, cool.
All right.
But,
yeah.
Go
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
The last two matches was just the Young Bucks with Kenny Omega versus the Lucha Bros. With the third member, I didn't recognize the third guy, but he was pretty good. It was just a spot fest, no psychology. I say that like I know how to wrestle, but it was a fun match to watch. And I was surprised that the Young Bucks and Kenny got another win when it's like I felt like the Lucha Bros should have got that win, but that's neither here or there. But the match that I really wanted to talk about, which was the match of the night, but it brings up what did Matt Hardy say? Trouble in my vessel was the hardcore match between Jon Moxley and
Joey Janela.
Joey Janela.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that match was, the story in that match was who is more hardcore, Joey Janela or Jon Moxley. Now, even though Joey Janela lost to Jon Moxley, I really appreciate that he went as far as to say, I don't care who you are, I'm still Joey Janela, baby. I don't know if that's how he talks, but he's like, I'm still as hardcore as you. And Jon Moxley was like, okay, you're as hardcore as me. Let me backdrop you on a pile of thumbtacks and do my finisher on the thumbtacks. And Joey Janela still resisted him, and Jon Moxley got the win. I thought that match, even for a hardcore match, it was very well told. The only issue that I have is that it wasn't really a good guy versus a bad guy, which is what I want in my wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? But it was setting up Jon Moxley as the bad guy to Kenny Omega. So I thought that match was pretty good.
Cool, man. I'm looking forward to it. Just from the description and all the stuff you said, and I'm even more hyped to watch it. So
now, the Fyter Fest initially starting off the weekend was the big news, the AEW, but then I think the WWE somehow stole the thunder with some of their breaking news announcement. I think that was Sunday? Sunday or Monday?
Yeah, Sunday, I believe.
Sunday. Mm-hmm. So now we have new executive, I guess, I forgot the title.
Executive directors.
Executive directors. A separate one for Raw and one for SmackDown. So now we have Paul Heyman who is now supposedly in control of the entire show on Raw, and then Eric Bischoff taking over on SmackDown. So what were your initial reactions when you heard the news?
So this is it came out of nowhere. I'm trying to figure out, how did I hear about this? I either saw it somewhere or it just caught me totally by surprise. And when I read it, I'm like, is this actually what I'm seeing? Like, they've put these two dudes in charge? And so I immediately got hyped because I thought of all the possibilities of things that can be corrected now. And the reason why I say that is because when you hire these guys or put these two in these positions, because they already had, Heyman under contract, obviously, with Brock and all that stuff, so they, gave him this position. I don't know if Eric Bischoff was working for them or not, but at the time, but I heard they had been trying to get him in this position since like February or something like that. So they've been working, for him for the last couple of weeks. Heyman since February. So putting these two in this position, in those positions of authority like that, and then running the show, those two dudes are not yes men. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to be like, okay, we're just going to do whatever Vince wants us to do. They're going to go in and be like, this is what we want to do, and they're going to fight him for it. And if Vince hired them in those positions, he knows that. So it ain't like he just hiring two dudes that's going to do what he want to do, and it's just for their figureheads. Those two dudes are not figureheads. They ran their own successful shows that was running up against the monster at the time. And one of them was, in a position to put WWF at the time down if they hadn't imploded. So he knows what he has in these shows. And the other show with ECW, setting trends that WWF wasn't doing at the time. None of them were doing. So these two dudes know what they're doing. With TV, they know what they're doing with a roster. They know what they're doing with talent. They know what they're doing with writing. They know what they're doing with all of that stuff. And so when I seen that, I said, oh man, they done tipped the scales now. They done changed the game with these two. And this is what people wanted. They just want things to change, and this is the best way to do it. We all said that the only way it was going to change is if Vince gave over control. Well, it's kind of a happy medium. Vince is going to be in control, but I think this is going to change a lot of things. And I think they put the two people on the right shows too, because, and this is something that I heard when I was listening to Busted Open, make perfect sense too. They said, you think about Eric Bischoff on SmackDown. SmackDown is about to go to Fox, and I think Eric Bischoff probably know more about TV and TV deals and how to please, the network and all that stuff than Paul does. And that's probably why they put him in that position with SmackDown, because they're about to move. And it's perfect. And so, I think they really couldn't have done anything better. The only thing better than this that they probably could have done is if Triple H took over the whole thing. That's probably one notch up from this. But I'll definitely take this, and I'm excited about the way these shows are going to be run now. And me personally, I thought it was a big change in Raw. I mean, just the opening segment. When the last time you had an opening segment start out like that, where we was getting "This is awesome" chants from jump? I can't tell you the last time we had that. So, I'm excited about it, man. I can't wait to see how this all unfolds.
All right, we're gonna come back in a few minutes to talk about what actually transpired on Raw and SmackDown. But Duke, what was your initial impression when you first heard the news?
When I heard I read it, and the first thing I saw was Paul Heyman, and I popped. And then I read the rest, and it said Eric Bischoff, and my pop died down to it, like, really? And the reason why is because I was still a little munchkin. I was still a little jabroni when Eric Bischoff was running WCW. So I don't really have much to say on his WCW run, but I always hated him as a kid. Watching him as the GM on Raw. But you know, he was a heel GM, man. He was a creepy old man that used to kiss Stephanie McMahon and all that. And then he used to always say he was a karate master. So I used to be excited because I thought he was going to kick people. And he never would kick people because he was a job. So, like, I had an irrational dislike of Eric Bischoff being in control. But after listening to Busted Open Radio, shout out to you, Jay, for putting me on that.
For sure.
They kind of changed my perspective because they was able to give me a relative idea of what Eric Bischoff could bring to the table. And we know Paul Heyman is a creative genius. It's just a matter of he wasn't good at running a company. And we know, I can't remember the positives they gave for Eric Bischoff, but I think it's going to work out. We already seen like evidence that things were changing a little bit for Raw. I would even say since WrestleMania, because they tried to make segments flow a little bit better for Raw and for SmackDown. It was just the little things you would see in the promos, like the Aleister Black promos. At first, they started off cheesy, but then it became like this awful promo. It's just the little things that you see they were improving on that people didn't really talk about because it wasn't the core thing to do that WWE was improving on. And I guess we could contribute that to Paul Heyman taking over. Now we can start contributing it to Eric Bischoff being on the team officially now. So I'm excited, and I know we're going to talk about Raw a little bit later, but if Raw being that good is a result of Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman being put in those roles, I'm excited.
Yeah, because I think this negativity has reached a peak point for the WWE where Vince had to make a change because who's going downhill from AEW. Their stock price had hit. Actually, their stock price hit a low for 2019 on June 26th. And then on June 27th was actually the day when they announced Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman were now the executive directors for their shows, and the stock has popped back up slightly since then. So I'm thinking, man, I think they were in a bind and they had to shake things up, and they shook things up with people with names that even investors would know of. Mm-hmm. So they couldn't put someone in the background who wasn't known for having like ECW or WCW previously, because it wouldn't help the investors have any confidence in the shows. And plus you got Fox too, so Fox is eagerly expecting this ratings increase because the ratings were also down. So I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, I guess no change would have been the worst, so some change, you gotta hope for the best.
Yep.
So we'll be back in a second, and we'll come back and we're going to talk about if we're really seeing changes on Raw, because I don't think there were that many noticeable changes on SmackDown. If we really are seeing the influence of Paul Heyman, or is it just the placebo effect? So we'll be right back.
This is garbage.
Bro, get him out of there. Oh, Sami Zayn's in there. Get him out of there. Don't let him do this. Sami's in the dumpster.
Oh, my God.
Yo. What up, though? It's your boy, Duke, the five-time European champion of the Fickle Fan Podcast. And I'm coming at you with a segment dear to my heart. And this segment is called This is Garbage. And with that being said, This is Garbage is a segment where we basically discuss what L, and L standing for loss, was taken by wrestling this week. Last week was New Japan, but this week I'm going right back to WWE. WWE just had a very hot show, probably the hottest show that they had in a good while. But there was one segment that made me go, "This is garbage." And that segment was between Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch. And it was saved by Maria Kanellis and her husbando. And the reason why I'm saying that for the most part the first half of this segment was garbage is because it came off as very awkward. It came off as very, I don't know if nuance is the right word, but very, I could tell that Seth Rollins was acting. Becky Lynch, for the most part, was very natural, but Seth Rollins was the one playing his part like, oh, I'm just the unknowing boyfriend that's put in a situation where he has to be rival to his girlfriend. It didn't seem like a natural relationship between the two, and it didn't really fit their characters well for the most part. Now, I'm not against Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins being a power couple in WWE. I'm not against the mixed match. I'm botching, but one take is all we're doing. I'm not against the mixed match tag match. I still can't say it. That they're having at Extreme Rules. But what I am against is the awkwardness of the promo. So basically, it goes off like this. This is Seth Rollins. Hey, don't lose my title, please. This is Becky Lynch. That's my Irish accent, by the way. And it was just very awkward to watch. And I think if WWE would have not gave them a script to kind of stick to and just let them do a shoot interview, I guess I would say, I think it would have came off a little bit better. But this one, it just came off like I was watching Disney Channel and they're doing one of their typical, who ate the ice cream? Not me, Daddy. I don't even know what that is, but that's how it came off to me. And I'm pretty sure it came off to you guys the same way. I really do want to see more of Becky Lynch and more of Seth Rollins, but I feel similar to how Busted Open put it, where like I don't want to see them like being friends. I want them to just be a normal couple. I'm not saying a normal couple is kissing each other 24/7, and if you are, you need to, chill. But I want them to just come off as more natural people instead of coming off as we're reading off this script. I think Becky Lynch, for the most part, is doing well with these segments, but I think it's kind of showing that Seth Rollins isn't at his best with these segments. And I'm trying to be as nice as possible without being over dramatic like some of the fans are. But it just really comes down to, like, I've been in relationships, I've seen relationships, I've seen bad relationships, I've seen good relationships, and I don't think anyone talks like that in a relationship. I know it's TV, but, that was just the thing that made me go, this is garbage. So I hope you guys really enjoyed the segment this week. I hope you guys are having a great day. And with that being said, this is garbage. I repeated myself twice, but that's how you do it. When you want take an outro. Let's go.
All right, welcome back. So now we're going to continue our conversation about Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. And I know you guys mentioned briefly at the very beginning of Raw, we saw quite a bit of a change from the normal come out, talk for 20 minutes. Instead, we had a, Fall Count Anywhere match, kick off the show right away. No talking, not even a setup. They just went at it right from the get-go. And, of course, they had that big spot through the Titantron. How'd you like just even the first 10 minutes of the show?
Dude, I was intrigued from the first minute, and because I don't know what I was expecting after hearing the news, and then when the match started, that's what I thought. I kind of thought about that after they went after the Titantron spot, and sometime later I was like, usually by this time we would have had about 3 or 4 in-ring promo segments by now. One that started out probably from Reigns or Shane or somebody like that, and then you get Miz or somebody. But we hadn't seen that. It was just match after match after match, and they might have a backstage segment, something like that. Then there's a match. And so when that first segment happened, and all that happened with the whole, Titantron spot, and when the crowd started going, this is awesome, I said, wow, I am seeing a little change in the climate here on Raw. Like, I'm getting a little feeling now with this, the way they doing it. And I said, that's crazy. And then, so this is how I know, or how I think that, Heyman has something to do with tightening up the, the storytelling and making sure everything flowed and connected. A couple of reasons, and I'll mention two. One, the main reason I think that he had an influence on that is the way that they sold those two going through the Titantron, the whole show. Because you had both, men and women wrestlers saying, hey, we hate to see that. Hope to wish them well. Both of them. And there was multiple times where they were saying that. So they wanted to sell that as if something really happened to them. Like they got shocked. They was, everybody sold that. That was the first reason why. Because I think before, if that would have happened, before, Heyman was involved in this, that would have happened. And then the announcers would have said it probably later. You wouldn't have heard nothing from the wrestlers. They would have just act like it just, was something else that just happened. But I think that was the storytelling, creative part of that he put in there. And the other thing I seen was also, and this was mentioned by somebody on Twitter, and I didn't really realize it until I seen it, that the Titantron didn't work after they did that. Like, it was busted the whole night. And so when you see two people go through it, and then they got sparks and all that going after that, and they don't have time to fix it, that's what's supposed to happen. So it's just little details like that makes me see things have changed. This little storytelling facts, things that they've put in that you see, that it was just a lot of that I seen yesterday or Monday, where I'm like, okay, I think this ship has turned a corner here.
I thought Titantron was back working after the Viking Raiders came back out.
No, it was blacked out.
Yeah.
It was blacked out for the whole show? Oh,
Yep.
Okay. I must have missed that. Okay. I knew it was dark when the Viking Raiders came out right afterwards, but okay.
Yeah, I'm not going. Well, like, I felt the exact same way Jay feels. Like, it was a great spot. Stuff like that is what made me initially like Braun Strowman. If he does more stuff like that, like maybe hitting his finisher on little kids, and slamming them during the rings and reps, and picking up Bob Lashley and squishing his head like a milk dud. I think I'll pop for it, and I'll come back to liking Braun Strowman as a performer. And I thought it was a real cool thing. The only thing that kind of took me out of it, is where Renee Young said, I think one of the wrestlers ruptured their spleen. She was giving us a medical update. She said, I think one of the wrestlers, they're considering a spleen rupture or something like that. And I'm in the medical field, and I'm not saying I know every possible injury that can occur to someone, but a ruptured spleen is a rare thing to hear. You could have said like broken ribs,
right?
Dislocated spinal disc. If you wanted to get like make us think that their lives are in danger, you could have said, kidney stone. I don't know, like ruptured spleen. Like, that's the lamest part of the body to injure. Spleen, man. But with all that being said, like, that was a great spot, and that was a great way to start off Raw. It really gave us, and I hate to say it because the Attitude Era sucks to me. It's all about the Ruthless Aggression Era.
Whoa.
It felt very Attitude Era-esque. And I like it.
Yeah, I agree. That spot was, and I thought the whole Kanellis Seth, that not the segment with Seth and Becky per se. I'm just talking about the interaction between those four was very Attitude Era-esque.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna talk a little bit about that later in my "This Is Garbage" segment, but I kind of touched on how Maria saved that segment for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like Maria saying, "This is my dog that has been impregnated by another dog," going up against your dog that has been impregnated by another dog. I popped for it. Like, I thought that was pretty cool and pretty savage, I've heard it say. And then, like, the whole match situation, people were saying they didn't know how they really felt about it, but I liked it. And then it carried over to 205 Live. I didn't get to see how much of, well, I wasn't really listening to commentary, but it carried on to 205 Live, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think they said Paul Heyman loves Maria. She said she's like the greatest thing on the mic. So.
Well, she proved it.
Yeah, like.
So,
I didn't see what she did at Ring of Honor, but like Maria always seemed great on the mic.
Yeah.
From my days of youth, where I was learning what being a man is.
Yeah. So we'll move on to probably the second big thing that happened on the show. I don't know if it's bigger or not as big, but we finally had the reunion, the reformation of the club after Ricochet is able to beat AJ Styles cleanly in their main event for their US title match. So how did you react to seeing the club again and AJ turning heel?
I popped hard.
Take this one real quick.
Go ahead.
I, as a fellow good brother to the club, I too sweeted myself because that segment was perfecto. Like, it reminds me of when the club was getting pushed and AJ Styles was beating up John Cena every week, and that's whole little let's beat up John Cena was getting over every week. It reminded me of what they were doing back then. Not only did it remind me of that, it reminded me of who they were as the Bullet Club in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like, AJ Styles was a despicable guy in New Japan Pro Wrestling. The club were despicable people in New Japan Pro Wrestling. They did not take any crap from anybody. They smacked whoever went against them. They attacked whoever went against them. And they were just savages who did whatever they want and said whatever they wanted, no matter how the company felt about it. So the club riling AJ Styles like that up, it makes sense. And AJ Styles smacking Ricochet the way he did, it makes sense. And Ricochet smacking AJ Styles back and looking scared afterwards.
He did. He did look scared.
I don't know if he was if that was some good acting, and I need to give him a 2 sweet for that. But man, like, he looked like it's like when you finally stand up to your older brother that's a bully.
Yep.
That was that kind of look he had in his eyes.
Yeah, what's about to happen now? I'd have messed up.
Yeah.
And there's actually looking at the spot at the end where he hits the Styles Clash from the ropes, but actually it's like the safest way to do the Styles Clash.
Right, you get more less opportunity to break your neck.
Yeah, longer way down.
Longer way down. So I think Ricochet, it spared him the risk of breaking his neck, but it probably was a little tougher on his face.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I love that segment, man. I obviously we seen them building towards this. We kind of seen it coming, but the actual look of them all standing in the ring opens up so many possibilities for them. Finally, Gallows and Anderson getting pushed again because they were left on the back burner, and this is the perfect example of what like Seth and Roman was talking about rolling with the punches, because eventually you'll get your chance again. And these two, I mean, they're almost a perfect example of that. I mean, they got lost in the shuffle where them jokers wasn't on WWE programming for weeks on end, and people even forgot that they existed. And so,
when SmackDown tag teams was hot, they wasn't even on the show.
Nope. Either that or they was doing jobs. So, to see them now where they're going to put them in the possibility of them doing exactly what you're talking about, Duke, where they just ain't taking nothing from anybody, heel or face. And really, that's how they should push these guys. But I think that in order to perfectly put them over, it's got to be more than just them three. Like, you need an army almost, but it ain't got to be NWO-esque where it's like 52 people in it. Just maybe like 5, and one of them being a female. If they do that, they'll get them over like gangbusters. All right, it's just them 3 is going to get them over, but 5 of them and one of them being a female, and maybe the other one being, everybody want Finn in there with them, and because we know Finn is just some smiley standard guy right now. So if they put him in there, I think that'll be perfect. And that's what I thought about when they did that. I'm like, okay, they're going to we need a female in this. Somebody, and I don't know what, but I was talking to my coworker today, and I just found out she was a wrestling fan like a month or so ago. And she was like, what about Asuka being in there with like her previous gimmick? And I was like, man, I didn't even think about that. So just those possibilities, or I said a heel Bailey, but just those possibilities of that, or like a Io Shirai or somebody like that. Like, you don't really know who it can be, but I was like, it could be her. It can be, put Finn in it. Then they can put, somebody like the Undisputed Era against them as another faction, because you just can't have one faction. You got to have one that'll beef with a faction, because people got to take sides. So all these possibilities of what they can do is just crazy. So I that is definitely a high point for me for the week, is seeing the club ride again, as they said.
Man, that's a good point. Like, what made Bullet Club was that they had all these Gaijin or foreign wrestlers just taking over Japan, and if you can kind of bring that same energy back, that's going to pop the club. But then you're going to get those haters that say, oh, WWE is copying off of New Japan. Those people are not good brothers.
Of course they're going to say that.
I guess, I would like to see him feud with AJ, or not AJ, Finn Balor. Tease him and then kind of have Finn resist joining them, face off against AJ a couple times. Now, what would you think if the Undisputed Era came up to feud against the club?
I would love that. I would love that.
You got Adam Cole as a club member too.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
It would be perfect. But see, you have to push the club to be just that dominant. We're in peril, and we don't know what we're going to do because the club is running everything. You push them like that, where every week they're just beating somebody down. Then all of a sudden, the Undisputed Era. But see, I said that they should put the Undisputed Era on the opposite brand. Don't put them on the same brand. Put them on the opposite brand. And the reason why you do that is because now you build it up social media. They can't really touch each other. They ain't on the same show. But you build it up where they talking smack about each other on social media, but they not touching. And then you Survivor Series it.
Oh, yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth. Well, I guess I was stealing your idea. You have to pay off at Survivor Series or Climax at Survivor Series.
I mean, pay-per-views, they see each other, right? Because everybody is there, the whole roster. And then you can have where they, they might about to get into a skirmish backstage, but they don't. The key is to keep them away from each other, but have them talk about each other.
Exactly. Like, Adam Cole, when he was in New Japan and Ring of Honor, I was watching New Japan at the time, but I was watching a little bit of Ring of Honor. But the whole story basically was he was slowly trying to take over the Bullet Club from Kenny Omega. So if they wanted to, which is risky, they could be like, oh, you know what? I almost was the leader of the real club, and they start Kim Roberto like, oh, I've been the real leader of the real club. I don't know.
Right.
I'm just doing 2K Universe booking right now.
Right. Yeah, they could, man. They could do that and just have them squabble on Twitter about it.
Right. But yeah, that main event just shows that WWE has the best talent in the world for wrestling, and if they keep doing what they're doing, WWE might be back on the right tracks of becoming an unstoppable monster.
Yep.
Now, do you think there's any chance that nothing really changed and Vince is still pulling all the strings and it's just a gimmick? Or at least maybe for the time being. I mean, I know in the long run he can't really lie to the investors like that, but because they really, it's really unclear whether or not they've actually taken over the show or if it's still Vince doing the show, but he's trying to get a pop just by dropping Paul Heyman's name on Raw.
Listen, fans are not stupid. So I'll tell you this. We can see when there is actual change to the show because we've been watching it be the way it is since WrestleMania. This here is July. You're talking 3 months of this, right? Mm-hmm. So we've seen the abysmal shows where it was just downright horrible, and then the average shows, we've seen that, and we notice immediately when there is change. So if he's still pulling the strings and they do these shows for this time and then it reverts, people are going to immediately see that it has reverted. And the problem is you build people up that high where we like, oh man, they in charge and the things are about to change, and then you drop the ball like that where it reverts back, he gonna lose even more people, and you don't want to do that with AEW coming. So I don't think that's going to happen, because if he does, this is the implosion that I talk about with some people, where the only way WWE falls is if it implodes. That's the implosion right there. You're killing yourself when you do that. So
yeah, like I honestly don't think I'm not saying this because I work for, I'm saying this because I think WWE wants to be good. It's a reason why Seth Rollins said what he said when he said we're all putting our best effort into everything we do. Mm-hmm. Even if morale is low, those wrestlers, the people in production, the bad intern writers that write the promos, they're all giving it their 100% all, man.
Absolutely.
Vince McMahon said, like, look, all right, guys, let's bring Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff to help us steer the ship a little bit better. I think I feel like that's going to come off as genuine. Maybe it's because I got hope. And hope in big companies is always disappointing. But I really hope that that's not the case, Yeeski. I hope that if Vince McMahon is pulling the strings, it's because he has Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff helping.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about SmackDown. So SmackDown wasn't quite as dramatic because it opened up with a talking segment again. But the only thing I noticed is that suddenly KO is turned face again. He was face, he turned heel, and now he's back to face, it appears. So, what's your take on SmackDown? If you think Eric Bischoff's presence or influences have affected the show yet?
I actually, that was the one thing I haven't watched SmackDown. That was the one thing I did see from SmackDown, was that segment, and I loved it. KO with Ziggler, I was crying laughing when that reaction when Zig got in the ring and KO went off. Like it's kind of messed up because he just did that. I would say almost epic, or you can say epic turn on a New Day that nobody saw coming when they did. Eventually, it's Kevin Owens, so he would have turned on him, but nobody saw it coming then, and how they did it was perfect. That was we just how many weeks removed from that. So, if he is like face right now, that kind of takes the steam out of what he did. But WWE, they like to make you try to forget about things that happen, but the fans ain't stupid. But KO is KO, man. I mean, he can do stuff like this, and people gonna ride with him anyway. Yeah, I mean, I'm with him. Yeah, I seen that, and I'm like, all right, he must be face now. Okay, I'm good with it. So it's only so many people that can do that. That can, regardless of what they do, you're gonna ride with them, and he's one of them. So I'm happy about
Yeah,
it.
I missed the segment, but I kind of overheard it just a little bit, and it sounded like they were going off at each other. But was it more funny than anything?
Yeah.
Okay. It sounded like that was cutting the most intense promo from a different room that I was in. But I missed it for the most part. But if Kevin Owens is turning face, I can't wait till he turns heel again. If he can pull up both well.
Well, it looks like he's going to feud with Ziggler, so I'm guessing he's going to stay a face for a little while.
Yeah.
Now, I guess the other big development in WWE is probably the YouTube sensation, the 24/7 title. So now it looks like, after Drake Maverick's wedding was run by R-Truth, now Mr. Drake Maverick has got his hand back on the 24/7, and now he's going on his honeymoon with his new wife and the 24/7 title. So, are you excited about the hijinks that's going to occur over the next couple days, next week, during their honeymoon?
Can I tell you what I'm not excited about?
What is that?
It's that promo that R-Truth cut. I could tell the lowest level writer that gets coffee and donuts for dinner, catered by WWE itself, wrote that promo for him, where he was like, I mean, R-Truth made it work, don't get me wrong, but that promo was just so cheesy. Like, it was like Taco Bell levels of cheese. And I'm excited for the 24/7 title. I can't wait to see the next shenanigans they come up with, but I hope that they don't give R-Truth these scripted promos like that, because that was horrible.
Which one are you referring to?
So it was him basically announcing that Drake Maverick was in the arena and he was going to find him.
Okay.
Like, am I the only one who feels this way? Did you see it, Yeeski?
I probably did not see that promo that you're referring to.
Yeah, like it was just cheesy. Like the jokes were forced. R-Truth called it off because he's just a charismatic guy, but it was like, I don't think that's something R-Truth would say. Like, instead of R-Truth coming up with something on the spot that doesn't make sense, it was like, oh, let's write him something that doesn't make sense and have him say it.
Well, I never know if R-Truth, because the stuff he says is so zany, I can't even tell if he's like ad-libbing, because it really sounds like he's just ad-libbing at times and just intentionally messing stuff up. But
yeah, it was not like that. It was literally him remembering how to him fitting it. It was him saying something about, he didn't really say this, but like, if he would typically ad-lib a Wonder Bread joke into his promo, this case would have been them writing Wonder Bread in there for him.
Okay. Well, So I guess we'll have to see if this momentum carries, especially for Raw to next week. So no, I guess it really piqued the interest of at least us three. So we'll be watching probably Raw right from the get-go to see if it keeps up this thing or we go back to the same old on Monday Night Raw. So we'll be back in a few minutes, and we are going to talk about a thing that happened on Twitter today. It looks like Seth Rollins made a little apology to Will Ospreay. So we'll be back and talk about that next.
Rant of the week, you dig?
Yo, this your boy JM Fickle Fan Podcast, man. And of course, this is my rant of the week. And you probably already know, if you know me, where I'm going with this, and I'm going to this well one more time. And it's got to do with Miss Sasha Banks. And you are probably wondering, why am I talking about her yet again this week? See, what y'all fail to understand is that she is the reason why I'm even recording this message right now. The reason why have been watching wrestling since 2014. The reason why I came back to watch wrestling after not watching it for 10 years is probably 95% because of her. I'll give you kind of like the background of that. So it had been pretty much about 10 years since I hadn't watched wrestling. And I stumbled upon Taz podcast. And on Taz podcast, he mentioned something about NXT. And I said, what the heck is NXT? So I went and I found out what NXT was. And the first person I saw was Miss Sasha Banks. And I said, wow, she can really go in the ring. Not to mention, obviously, she's a looker. But that's not the reason why she's one of my favorite wrestlers. The girl can go in the ring, and she had an attitude as a heel like I had not seen before. And they were finally taking women's wrestling seriously. So I was hype about that. And I'm like, I got to know more about this. Then I seen Charlotte. Then I seen Bayley. Then I seen Becky. Then I seen Alexa. Then I saw Then I seen Paige. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like all these people, all these women in women's wrestling, NXT, they doing their thing here. But Sasha Banks stuck out to me because of how she worked in the ring, how she sold in the ring, her character work, and then just forget about it with the whole Sasha Bayley feud that they had going. And everybody know that's a legendary feud. But here, we're going to fast forward it to now. And we all know that there's been some things going on between the WWE and Sasha Banks ever since WrestleMania. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows where her head is at. Now the latest report is that they threw her a 7-figure salary. My opinion is she more about wrestling than she is about the money. Obviously, when you do a job somewhere, but it's more than a job for her. This is a career. It's her dream. We all know about the stuff of her being young and, watching wrestling and then, going to getting trained and all that stuff. We all know about it. Ended up in NXT and all that stuff. We know about all that stuff. But herein lies the problem that I have right now. And I'm talking specifically from an emotional standpoint of not knowing what in the world is going on, okay? So I'm just going to talk blindly and call it what you want, but this is what I'm feeling right now. I'm sick and tired of these errand tweets and Instagram posts that we're getting that make no apparent sense at all. It's like I'm trying to solve second grade base 10 math. And for all parents out there that, that's around my age, 37, 38, or even older, you know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to that. That's some hard stuff. I got A's in math back in school and in pre-calc and trig and algebra and all these things. And my son bring me this base 10 math and I'm like, I can't solve this. I even tried to look up YouTube videos on this and still had a problem. But that's neither here nor there. But that's what it's like to me. It seems like I need a decoder to figure out what in the world is going on in that woman's head. And why I'm so frustrated right now is because I can see an uptick in WWE programming, especially from the last Raw and SmackDown. Heard about SmackDown, didn't watch it, but a lot of people was high on it, and I watched Raw from beginning to end and got a certain feeling that I haven't felt in a while about that. So I see an uptick in the program. Plus, we all know about Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff, and I expect great things to come for WWE because of those two things that happen. But Sasha's not a part of it. And this is my frustration because it's like a piece of WWE, a huge piece of WWE is missing right now. And she's sitting on the sidelines and nobody has any idea why. She ain't saying nothing. She ain't saying nothing to her fans. She not doing anything right now. And like I said again, I'm going to point out that I'm talking about this from pure ignorance as to what's going on in her mind and the reason why she's sitting on the sidelines. I don't know anything. No backstage stuff. Nobody knows anything. I know about as much as Joe Blow on the street knows. And that's my problem. I feel a huge void right now because of that. It was a joy to watch her work in the ring. It was a joy to watch her character work every week. It was a joy just to watch her on the screen every week. But now we getting these straight up Aztec hieroglyphic national treasure type puzzle posts that nobody can figure out, just these words that don't mean absolutely anything. These scenery posts where you're like, okay, what is that supposed to mean? My head is hurting. It got to the point where, you know what? I was like, I'm going to unfollow Sasha Banks, my favorite wrestler, until something happens. Call me selfish. Call me whatever you want to. That's just how I'm feeling right now. It is a pain for me right now not to see her on screen and taking part in what she loves the best. If it's just a vacation, okay, cool. How about you let us know that? Do you owe us anything? Well, some people say, no, wrestlers don't owe us nothing. But some people say, yeah, because we're the reason why you're in the position you are. I'm not negating the hard work that it went into your character work. I'm not negating anything that you've done. But all I'm saying is that your fans are owed something. You don't know me. You probably never will know me. But all I'm certain for right now is that a huge piece of your fans are missing right now. And we deserve something. Give us something to whet our appetite to know that you're going to come back and bless us with your presence again. And that's my rant of the week. This your boy, JM, Fickle Fan Podcast. Look out for the new episode should be coming Thursday morning for y'all, so y'all can check that out. So until then, peace.
So welcome back again. So in our closing segment, we're going to talk a little bit about, we talked about last week where Seth Rollins, I guess, went off a little bit, talking about how WWE was the best wrestling in the world and started comparing, where Will Ospreay reacted to it, and then he started comparing, called him a little guy, started making references to his bank account. So evidently today, Seth Rollins kind of tweeted an apology. He still insists that WWE is the best wrestling in the world. However, he admitted what he said was inappropriate and that as soon as he hit send, he knew what he had said was trash and that he would lay off Twitter for those things going forward in the future. So I guess, Duke, as an insider, what made Seth do this little 180 in a week?
It's because I threatened him. We botching, but one take is all we're doing. I threatened him with a write-up. Seth Rollins has a clean rapport with the company. I said, Seth, look, man, I kind of like Will Ospreay, and I don't think he's a Ricochet clone. I don't want to do this to you, Seth. Actually, I do, because I don't like you for dating the man. But I'm writing you up unless you go and apologize on behalf of yourself and the company and keep peace. We're already looking bad as a team as it is, Seth. And I know Seth, I know you just wanted to take a locker room leader stance and sing our praises because we deserve it. But Seth, you don't go hard on somebody with a bank account. You're not a lame rapper. You're Seth freaking Rollins, who burned it down, who killed the Beast Slayer. Wait, no, you slayed the Beast. You slayed the King. So Seth, find it within your hearts of hearts to please apologize to Will Ospreay on Twitter. If you don't, I'm going to write you up, and I'm going to see if Vince McMahon can dock your pay and donate it to the Fickle Fan Podcast. And that's basically what happened.
And I guess, he listens to you. You must hold a lot of weight with that company. And, I mean, you're talking to the top guy. The top guy.
No, it's just what they say, If you want respect, you have to give it. I gave Seth Rollins no respect, but he gives it to me, so I'm gonna give it back to him.
I'm surprised you ain't sabotaging, man, so that you can break him up from the man.
The thing about them is that their relationship on TV is cringy enough, and who do you think is writing those promos for them?
Okay, so it's you.
I didn't say it was me. I'm just, just asking you, who do you think is writing them? I'm not saying it's me, but I do have leeway with low-level writers at the WWE headquarters in Connecticut. I'm just saying.
It is amazing they have two of the most popular, fairly charismatic superstars who just don't have no chemistry together.
Zero, bro. Zero.
Well, no, it's not that they don't have chemistry together. It's just that they don't have. I feel like it's the same thing with what I said about R-Truth. It's that they're giving them these things to say, and they just gotta find a way to make it work. And it's it's unnatural.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But I mean,
couples don't talk the way they talk to each other.
No.
But these are top guys, so I mean, when you go, I'm sure they have a lot of time to practice these lines together. So I still blame Seth and Becky, because I mean, you could ad lib a few things here, and just make things look like you guys really are dating. I mean, if we weren't presented with so much evidence, I would not buy that these two are dating at all.
I agree.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head when you said two people who are dating each other do not interact like that. They interact like they just met each other. Like they're not sure if, where this is going, or they only had, they only seen each other for the first time. They having that first awkward conversation. That's what they look like on camera. But Yeeski, you said two of the most charismatic people in the whole entire company put together an awful segment like they did on Monday. Terrible. And I can't understand how that can happen.
It would be as if they were Peter Parker and MJ from the new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah,
teenagers.
that's exactly, yes.
Awkward teenagers. They're like, I like you, but I can't tell you that. Oh,
yeah.
I like you. I'm nervous.
Becky, yeah. I think I wanted to ask you something. Can we go out on a date? Yes. We can't go out on a date.
Guys, I have to give a quick side story. See, there was this kid named Lucius Aloysius Calum IV, and he ended up dating a very attractive, not coworker, but classmate. Now, he thought that he had it made because this classmate was as beautiful and as intelligent as Becky Lynch, but Lucius Calum Aloysius IV was as awkward as Seth Rollins. And you know what happened to their relationship after 3 weeks? They broke up. I don't want to see Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch break up because they have bad chemistry on the segment, and I don't want Seth Rollins to be Lucius Calum Aloysius IV. So come on, guys. Well, actually, if it gets me a shot at Becky, I might sabotage and stuff.
All he needs is a little hope.
Yeah, just keep hope alive, brother.
Yeah.
I will.
So the end thing is that out of all this Twitter ramble between Seth Rollins and Will Ospreay got a new shirt out of it. Little freaking guy. So he probably made some sales off that. So he's probably not that bad off. And in closing, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just asking, can you get that shirt for the podcast?
I gotta click and check what the price is.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So so we'll wrap up our podcast this week. $24.99. $24.99.
Yeah, I don't know if that's worth it.
So you're gonna have to expense it off on your WWE credit card, so your company card.
Yeah, add on how much we paying you. You should be able to get that.
Oh yeah. Because you guys are paying me a powerful $250 a week for this, so
That is $2.50, people. Don't get it twisted. Not $250.
No, I might have to go to our friend Smack the Raw and see how much they're offering a week.
So just in closing, we'll wrap up our podcast for this week. I just want to make one comment that helped me really appreciate the WWE Network. It's been so long since I've watched pay-per-views that I forgot that you can't watch pay-per-views on your own terms, it appears. So I tried to flick on Fyter Fest on Saturday, and I was a little behind, because I like to say wrestling revolves around my schedule, not my schedule revolves around their show, because we never watch WWE pay-per-views on time. We're always about a half hour
Yep.
every week.
And we got to stay away from social media.
So I pop on Fyter Fest, and I'm like, hit play, and I'm like, wait a second. Where's the from the start? And I'm like, there's no from the start. So, I changed it off, and I like, all right, well, I'll watch it later. So I went back at the end of the show and then said, okay, maybe the show's over now, and maybe I can watch it right now from the beginning. And it says, replay to be uploaded soon or something like that. So I waited. Oh, an hour later. Oh, no, not there yet. Oh, so I had to wait a whole day to be able to watch Fyter. So, thank you, WWE, for allowing me to be a minute late, 10 minutes late, half an hour late, and letting me watch it on my schedule.
Let's all give WWE a standing ovation.
You're the real one, Vince.
Yes, great job, WWE. We appreciate the network. $9.99.
You could have came to the dark side with me and used some illegitimate links.
By nefarious means.
By nefarious means,
Do they have a delayed stream?
No,
Can you watch?
Right? It's about 30 seconds behind.
Oh, but you can't watch it like a half an hour later and start from the beginning.
Or no, I think you can. Oh, wait. No, you can't. But you can watch it the very next hour it's out.
Okay.
The link I got was from YouTube.
I was watching.
Snitches get stitches.
I mean, it's a free show though, so somebody put it up on YouTube. Ain't really too much you can do about that.
It's a free show, but it's not a free country.
Well, technically, internationally, it's not free. So.
Yeah.
All right. Any last comments from you, JM?
Nope. Looking forward to Fyter Fest. Watching that tomorrow. Probably gonna catch up on some NXT as well, because that was today. I still gotta watch the Io Shirai and Shayna Baszler match, the cage match, even though I know the result, but I want to see everything that transpired. Looking forward to see how that pan out. Yeah, man. Probably play me a little bit of Spider-Man later. Finishing that up. About 20% in on that last DLC, so I'll probably be done with that soon. Have that back to you, bro. Other than that, that's about it.
And you, Duke?
I took a beautiful nap today, and in my nap, for some reason, me and Jay was working at a community center, and I was talking to a girl with multicolored hair. So, even though dreams are dreams, just dreams, you know. I think Jay owes me a hookup to Oscar, and I think he just slided her DMs for me. But you know, that's not neither here or there. I'm just putting that suggestion out, based off of a dream that doesn't matter.
Listen, I'll see what I can do. I will tweet Oscar and say, hey, my boy Duke, he wants you to follow him so he can slide in the DMs. I'll see what she say.
Yeah, you know, just let her know that I'm willing to carry her bags for her.
Yes, I say you got a bag guy right here. He'll carry your bags. He'll go get you some candy, some food, anything you want to do, drive you around. He'll hook you up.
I got you. Yeah, and on a side note, I just want to encourage everybody to go watch 205 Live. Like, I know Vince McMahon messed it up the first couple months, but ever since Drake Maverick I won't say he took over, but ever since he became the acting GM, 205 Live has been nothing but good episodes. I would even say some of the best matches come out of 205 on a weekly basis, and that's putting it over NXT. So
Ooh.
I encourage everybody to watch 205 whenever possible.
I will. Wow.
Yeah.
All right, well, that will be a wrap. Once again, as always, you can tweet us at WWF_anonymous. You can also follow Fickle Fan Podcast on Anchor, Google Podcasts, iTunes Podcasts. And now we are violating some, I guess, unwritten rules and putting an audio podcast with our Fickle Fan Podcast logo on YouTube.
That's right, baby. Breaking the rules.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. 2K20, you never know. We might have some gameplay up on the channel to go along with the podcast, but
Yeah.
that's only if Jay wants to see me online. His Roman Reigns versus my Dolph Ziggler.
That's right. I gotta get the stable battle going.
Yeah.
So if you like us, if you don't like us, please let us know. Because as Roman Reigns says, as long as you reacted to me, that's all he matters.
That's
That's all that matters. You can do it. You can write
right.
bad comments up and down. You know, at least he took the time to do that.
That's right. We'll get 1 like and 2,000 dislikes. We good.
We good, you know. As long as you're giving us a reaction as the
Yes.
let's just say.
Yes.
All right, well, that's a wrap for it. So I'm signing off for Yeeski.
JM.
Your boy Duke, 2 Sweet 1 Love.
Peace.
Fickle!